Hey guys, how you doing today? I hope you are fine. Welcome to Grow and Glow podcast. This is another episode, and on this episode, I'm not going to be alone. I'm going to be having a guest with me, and we're going to be talking about loneliness. If you've been lonely before, you felt lonely one day or the other, or you felt sad because you've been lonely, this episode is for you. So stay tuned and learn. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Grow and Glow podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome to this episode of Grow and Glow podcast. Thank you for being my guest.
You're welcome anytime, any day.
Thank you, Alex. All right. Today we're going to be talking about loneliness. And I've noticed sometimes even when people are with friends and family, they still feel lonely. So I feel that is an issue we should talk about so that people can learn about it too. And just stop being lonely when with their friends. So first of all, we'd love to know who you are. Please, can you give us an introduction? Just tell us about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Alexandra and I am the host of It's Okay Child podcast. I know, right? Yeah, so aside from that, I'm a law student and yeah, I'm from Kenya. Let me say that. Am I your first Kenyan guest?
Exactly, you are.
I feel like I have achieved. Hey, I am so happy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm also a poet. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm a podcaster. Yeah, all those.
Wow, that's nice.
Thank you.
So can you tell us about your podcast? Tell us more about your podcast, please.
Okay, so It's Okay Child podcast is all about healing, and this is because I felt like most of the youth don't talk about some personal issues because they feel they might not be understood or necessarily because they don't have money for therapy. So I felt like this podcast will be a free therapy session for people because whenever I have guests, they get to like share their experiences on how they dealt with certain situations, and through that we're helping each other heal. So yeah, my podcast is all about healing.
Wow, that's so, I don't know, very nice, and it's how to be. I've listened to her podcast, guys, and I've been a guest on her podcast. It's really all about healing and helping young people very well. So thank you, Alex. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So my first question for you is, what does it mean to be lonely? What does it mean to be lonely?
Well, I feel like loneliness is necessarily a state of being alone, and you actually feel sad about being alone. It's not like you can be left in a room and are just okay because you're free to do anything about it. Loneliness is different because you actually feel sad about it, and you feel isolated from people, but not for like a short time. Like when you feel isolated from people for an extensive period of time, which can actually be unhealthy because you might end up depressed, and a lot of mental health illness might catch up with you. So yeah, let me say loneliness, it's a negative side of being left alone for a while. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you ever had any personal experience on loneliness? Can you please share it with us if you've had one?
Hey sis, are you ready to hear this story? Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Okay,
Okay,
this was
so
interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. So let me say I have had instances of being lonely,
Okay.
but the one that really is really outstanding is back in 2020, yeah, last year.
Okay.
So when the year began, for me it actually began in a bad way because I had exams and
Okay.
one of my family members was sick. And
Oh,
to
okay.
make matters worse, I was I broke up with someone, with my
Oh,
boyfriend by then.
oh.
And yeah, it was bad, sis, it was bad. And like it ended on a bad note because it was a case of infidelity and I felt like he had broken my trust. And to make matters worse, most of the mutual friends I had with him were sort of siding with him. Like I was going to them for help and for advice, and all of them, one by one, started turning their back on me. So
Wow.
this girl over here was like, "Oh, okay, so all of you don't want me, I'll show you what I do." So I went and I changed my number. I cut them off, all
Wow.
of them, every single one of them. And for a long period of time, I felt alone. I was so lonely. Considering the fact I'm an extrovert, like I find my joy being around people. So me starting to cut off people I actually considered friends, people I considered were for eternity, like it was really heartbreaking for me. So yeah, like I started feeling withdrawn from people. Like I remember even then my best friend was so worried about me because I had even cut off my own best friend, and she was trying to be there for me, but I just felt like I just need to be alone. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. Let me just be embracing this sadness alone. Yeah, like it was so bad because I didn't want to be around people, and for a while I was even depressed, and I couldn't even speak about it because I didn't feel like anyone would understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through, because clearly they haven't been in all those situations at the same time, so clearly no one can understand me. So yeah, like that was the worst. Let me say that was the worst part of my year last year. Yeah, but honestly, that extensive period of isolation from my friends and from the people I love really, really, really took a toll on me.
Wow. That was it was serious though. So okay, yours you kind of personally said you did not want to be near people. What about others that still feel lonely when they're with their friends and families in parties and when they go out, they still feel lonely? Why
Mhm.
do they still feel lonely when in midst of people?
Well, I feel like you can actually feel lonely when you are hanging out with people, but this can be because of, for example, if you are with let me say you are in a squad of, let's say, 7 people. Yeah, you're actually bound to feel lonely because at some point, like, not every single person in that squad at that time will be given the attention we deserve. So you'll actually feel kind of withdrawn from them, and you'll feel like, it's better you hadn't gone to that get together than going there and feeling like you're alone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an instance. Another instance may be because of maybe you're hanging out with people you don't have a connection with, and
Mm-hmm.
this can actually be like, I think it's called existential loneliness. Yeah, like you are with people, but you're not there. You're literally not there, because
Yeah.
if you're with people you don't have anything in common with, you don't have a connection. It's really hectic. Yeah, and also, actually, this one is actually the greatest cause of why people might feel
Lonely.
lonely when they are
Okay.
when they are around other people, and that is, maybe you have a mental illness, like, for example, probably you still have some childhood trauma, whereby maybe you aren't getting the kind of love other families get from their parents and all.
Mm-hmm.
And so you feel like everyone that you meet might actually be like your parents or like your family members. So yeah, you fear socializing with people, you fear getting intimate or vulnerable with people, because you fear they might be like something bad that happened to you in the past, you get.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So,
in my opinion, that's what I feel
all right.
causes
All right.
people to feel lonely around other people. Yeah.
Okay. So you said something about mental health. Do you think loneliness really, really like affect our mental health?
Yeah, I do.
In what ways, please?
Okay, like, you see, for example, for my case, when I was telling you I was alone and actually lonely for a long
Mm-hmm.
time, was it actually led to me being depressed. Yeah, like I even started having suicidal thoughts. I didn't
Wow.
have I didn't have psych for life. Like I literally didn't have energy to do anything. And this brought up other mental illnesses like anxiety. I used to have anxiety attacks so many times. Like I'd feel something bad is going to happen to me when literally I am safe, I am in my room, nothing bad can happen to me because I'm in my own neighborhood, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from anxiety, also insomnia. You see, when you're having, like, when you are lonely, you tend to have a lot of things going through your mind, yeah. So
True.
you can't sleep well if if your brain is not asleep, because when you sleep your whole body is supposed to be asleep, so that when you get enough rest you'll have a better day the following day. But without that, you can't function well, you see. So that's why I feel like loneliness is actually a door to many mental illnesses, if not if not fixed, or rather if you don't seek help about it.
All right. Thank you so much. So, do you know any kind of do you know some ways, any kind of way we can avoid loneliness or just stop being lonely, stop feeling lonely? What are some ways you can give us that we can learn about?
Okay, for example, okay, some tips. First of all, before we even go further, I need you guys to understand that being lonely is not a fact, it is just something you feel, yeah.
Okay.
And before you start feeling something, it actually means something triggered you to feel that way. For example, you're Gracie, yeah? You're my friend, so if I buy you chocolate, how would you feel?
Happy.
Exactly, you'd feel happy. You see, it's also the same way when you feel lonely, something must have triggered you to feel lonely, yeah. For me it was the breakup and betrayal from friends. For someone else it can be, maybe they feel like they're not good enough to be around people, so they isolate themselves, So for you to stop feeling lonely, you need to understand what exactly is making you feel lonely, and can you find a solution to that? If yes, then do so that you cannot stay there for a long time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also highly recommend people to reach out to someone and talk about it. For me, I
Okay.
had to find a therapist, because these therapists actually have a lot of knowledge on a lot of things, especially mental health wise and psychologically. So,
Okay.
like, for me, a therapist helped me. For you, it can be someone who understands you. You can talk to your friend, you can talk to your parents, you can talk to a grown up. They can actually help you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like we need to make efforts in deepening our friendships and relationships with people.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and I actually feel like what makes people lonely is because they expect other people to come do things for them. Like, for example, I really want to go out for lunch with you, Gracie, but I'm scared to
Mm-hmm.
ask you because probably I'm scared you'd say no, or you'd say I'm too busy, and I'm scared of criticism and negativity. So I will be
Mm-hmm.
scared to ask you, hey, Gracie, can we go out and eat chicken? And probably you'd say no. So that is what actually makes people to become lonely, because they're scared of making the first move. They're scared to express how you feel. You are scared to make new friends. You see, so we need to change that. And
Yeah.
once you start initiating these things, you'll start making quality friendships. And that's also another point people should look into to avoid loneliness. Do not go wanting to have so many friends. Let me just ask you a question. Gracie,
Okay.
you have so many followers on your Instagram account, yeah?
Yes.
But is everyone your friend from that following list?
For sure, no.
Exactly, exactly. So, like, don't be out seeking to have so many friends and you
Mm-hmm.
won't get that satisfaction. I believe you can have that one friend and you can
Mm-hmm.
spend some good quality time together, and you can help each other build yourselves in different aspects, than having so many friends who can't even help you when you are in trouble. You dig?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, also, um when you are lonely or when you feel alone, I feel like this is the best time to build yourself. Work on
Mm-hmm.
something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're good at coming up with ideas for a podcast, do that. If it's
Mm-hmm.
writing poems like me, do that. If it's singing, dancing, coming up with something creative, make good use of that time. Turn that
Yeah.
loneliness, that sad thing, into something beautiful. And trust
Mm-hmm.
me, once you recover, or once you get better from that situation, you would have added an advantage to your life,
Yes.
because you
True.
learned something new, you learned a new skill. So yeah. And also, um you need to try out new things with new people. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
restricted to staying with this, just just like your own circle of friends. Now you see, like, I knew you through podcasting, yeah. If I hadn't started a podcast, and if I hadn't reached out to you, we wouldn't have been friends right now, like, at all. We would just be
Yeah.
strangers to each other. Probably you couldn't even have been knowing me, and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. But I'm sure even people are like, I now how is that possible? And they're also introverts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know introverts, like, they are slow to making friends because they get to study people first before they know who to keep in
Yeah.
their lives. Yeah. So this is
Mm-hmm.
also an advantage for them, because you don't necessarily have to spend, like, physical time with people. You can go out to an event and meet this one person who you get along so well with, and hadn't you gone to that event, you couldn't have known him. And by you knowing them, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out all the time, because I know introverts prefer like non-physical meetups with people. Like they rather spend time talking to you online or on text messages or phone calls than meeting you in person. Yeah, so it's an advantage to both extroverted people and introverts as well. Yeah, and I guess lastly, we should take social media breaks when necessary.
Yeah, very necessary.
Exactly, because if you don't take the social media break, you'll feel drained, like you'll feel socially drained, and once you're socially drained, you won't be able to tolerate having anyone blowing your inbox all the time. They want to talk to you, and you end up pushing people away, and the more you push people away, the more you remain alone. You see? Yeah, you remain alone. So so people need to understand themselves. If at this time you feel like you want to be alone, be alone. Take all the time you need, so that when you come back, you give everyone the attention they deserve, than pretending to not be okay and tolerating people. You're just burning yourself out by staying in a situation where you feel you're not comfortable being around people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexy.
You're welcome.
Okay. One last thing. Can you give anyone listening to the podcast right now, anyone listening to this episode, can you give them an advice? Anyone who is lonely that is listening to this episode, can you just give them just one piece of advice? Something they should do, something they should know, just anything.
Okay. So to anyone who's struggling with loneliness, I need you to understand it's just a phase. It doesn't last forever. Yeah, so I need you to embrace whatever you're feeling right now and to be patient with yourself. Please be patient. But also, even as you're being patient, please go seek help. Don't force yourself to be in that situation for so long, because it might end up becoming another mental illness and you'll become mentally unstable. Okay, so you also need to make new friends, and by making new friends, you need to be mentally stable. Yeah, because hurt people. If you're not okay, you will make others feel bad about themselves. Yeah, so it all goes back to you. You need to understand yourself better to make any decision pertaining your life, and this will determine how lonely you will be in life or how social you'll be in life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexy. Thank you.
You're welcome, sis. I got you anytime.
Right. So thank you so much for being my guest today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please feel free to invite me any other time you don't have a guest.
For sure, girl, for sure.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome again. May God bless you.
Amen. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, I hope you listened well and took down some things. Okay guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm sorry if you are hearing some noise in the background and stuff. I don't even know what's going on today. I thought today would be very quiet in my area because I'm doing this at home. But surprisingly, guys, I'm just hearing as if there's a party somewhere, cars and bikes moving. It's so annoying. So I'm so sorry the audio doesn't really sound so great. Next time, please. Next time to be better. Please, I'm sorry. Alright, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode again. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something very essential. Please don't be lonely. Try and be busy with yourself. Try and do something. Try and seek help with somebody. Don't push people away from you. And you should take some days, take breaks from social media. I just hope. Don't worry, listen to the episode again. If you don't understand all I'm saying, listen to it. I hope you understood everything I just said right now. So, guys, thank you again. Thank you. And if you have any question or a contribution, you can just send a DM just on Instagram. Send my Instagram handle, like the podcast Instagram handle, grow_and glow_podcast. And if you want to check out Alexy's podcast, it's Okay Child Podcast. You can check it out on Instagram too. You can DM me. I can send the link to you so you can listen to her podcast. Alright, guys. See you next time for another great episode. See you.